Hi, everyone. I'm Vincent Joe.
Hi, I'm Kathy Reed.
And I'm Allison Reed.
Hi, I'm Ashley.
Hi, I'm Grace.
We're from the Haydenettes.
I am Mark Henretti.
Ciao a tutti, siamo Rebecca Ghirardi
e Filippo Ambrosini
e vi diamo il benvenuto a
This Weekend Skating.
Welcome to This Week in Skating, the weekly podcast bringing you the latest news from the world of figure skating. Here are your hosts, Daphne, Gina, and Matteo.
And we're back. Yes, all three of us. Myself, Daphne, as well as Gina and Matteo. We're all here to talk about the ISU Congress and the key takeaways. It's been a while since the three of us have been together, although we have been messaging in our text thread, keeping on top of what's going on. But I've missed seeing you guys. I got used to seeing you every week or every other week doing the weeklies, so it's great to be here with you again.
Yeah, it is great to be back. I'm not ready, though. I'm glad to see you guys, but I'm just not ready. Talking about skating, I could use a few more weeks of calmness before madness begins again, because I feel like this week is going to be madness. I don't know about you guys.
It's also interesting though, because it feels like there's not really a break, although we're not doing the regular things that we do, but there's always something coming up every week. So our chat is always buzzing with messages, but to be here together is probably the thing that we wanted to have happening for a while. So really happy that we're all back.
Yeah, there have been some new teams announced. There have been coaching changes. There have been choreographer announcements. There have been some splits. There have just been a lot of changes over the past month, I would say. Plus, coming out of Congress, we have the waiting game for what is considered Christmas for figure skating fans, which is announcement of the Grand Prix assignments. And according to Jackie over at Rocker Skating, they could come anytime this week.
Yeah, that's why I called this week Madness. I know it's kind of Christmas, but I feel like this year, especially, it's madness, because we're going to get these announcements and we're going to see skaters not on the list we're going to be going, are they retiring? What are they doing? Are they just skipping out on the Grand Prix? We're going to see partnerships that haven't been announced yet on this list. So that's why I'm calling it Madness this year. It's not really Christmas, it's Madness, because there's just going to be so many different storylines coming out of these Grand Prix assignments. And, I did do an episode a couple weeks ago, talking about everything that had happened since we last did a weekly. And I think I texted both of you and said, when things were starting to come out about new partnerships, I was like, do I need to do another episode? Can't we just have everything happen all at once instead of, oh, here's news this week and news this week and news this week? I don't know. I know that's not how things happen, but it's been feeling this way this season. And I think it's just because it's we're going into a new 4-year cycle, and I don't know, but it's just been madness. That's my word for this off-season. Madness.
I feel, though, maybe the Congress should have actually regulated on skaters are given between this week and that week to make announcements. No announcement outside of this period will be accepted. So we can all
agree. I so agree on that
that's
idea.
Something that we should tell them to think about for next year's Congress.
It's really interesting because single skaters and the pair skaters really don't keep things as secret as ice dance. I feel like when it comes to ice dance programs, they hold it tight to their chest. And I wish I could say, well, that's a new thing. That's been going on for decades. It's been this secretive thing. You didn't tell people what events you were going to. You didn't let anyone see your practices. You didn't tell anyone what your programs were. it's always been an ice dance thing. And I don't know if it's because it's supposed to be mysterious or protective, but it'd be great to normalize, letting the information get out there and just getting to work, I guess.
Well, I suppose in ice dance as well, what happens is that the program is fundamental. Not that it's not in the other categories, but it's fundamental. And in a way, if you come out too early, you may give your competitors an advantage, because maybe they will think, okay, they're doing something, melodic. So let's do something which is opposite to that, so that people will have something different. Or, do you remember, and it's been quite obvious over the last 2-3 years that with the different teams for the rhythm dance, there were a lot of, okay, someone is announcing this music, and then 2 weeks later, oh, this team is skating on the same music, and they're skating on the same music as well. So it's become very interesting to see these kind of patterns. While this year it's going to be quite different, I suppose, given that we don't know what's going to happen with the rhythm dance. So
no. And as the day we're recording this, the ISU just released a communication with the technical info and all of the other usual pieces. It's Communication 2795. It's junior and senior requirements for technical specifications. I have not had a chance to read it because it came out just before we recorded this episode. So that's something that I'm going to have to look through and just see what some of the things are. That's another thing that's really hard is I think some of the changes for the other sports leak out or get started earlier. And in dance, it's almost like it's last minute. So
I was
maybe
that
will
Daphne,
change.
If this is later than usual for the requirements for ice dance to come out, or is this usually this roughly around the same time?
I feel like some information gets shared at Worlds, in the meeting at Worlds. It's been up and down like this for years. My hope is that things will maybe stabilize and we'll get to something that matches more with singles and pairs and when they release their information. Or at the very least, maybe it would come out in April, like an actual documentation in April. But that is really up to the technical committee, and they're going to have their hands full because it's basically a brand new ice dance technical committee. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
So do we want to start talking about the ISU Congress and this thing that we had heard about prior to the Congress, and then now they officially said, yes, we're doing this combined world championships. They gave us a location. They told us when it's going to start happening. So this was I think for me, the biggest takeaway of day one of the ISU Congress, but they announced that the 2028 World Championships will combine figure skating, synchronized skating, speed skating, and short track. It will take place in Beijing at 3 venues, all venues that have been used for prior Olympics because Beijing hosted both the Summer and Winter Olympics not too long ago. And my first thought was like, I think I texted both of you, why Beijing? Because I'm like, why does China always seem to get to host a lot of different events? My second thing was, how long is this, like a mini Olympics? Is this going to go on for 2 weeks? How is this all going to work out? The ISU seems very excited about it. Some skaters are excited about it. I'm on like the fence. I think it's a great idea.
My thought is, I'm not sure where they can host it. They're going to have to look at sites maybe that have hosted an Olympics before, like Vancouver is one, Salt Lake City. If they still have those facilities available to be able to host an event of this magnitude. I'm not sure. I did not go digging to see what facilities that are available. Someone, It was Michelle Ellis on Jackie's Rocker podcast was asking about Lake Placid. They were talking about, well, maybe Lake Placid, and they do have multiple ice surfaces in Lake Placid, but as far as speed skating, the only oval that there is the outdoor oval. One. And I'm thinking March is a little late to have an event outside because you just don't know. It's been getting warmer earlier.
Yeah.
So,
and they usually close their oval outside, like, because they do a season where people can skate outside on the oval, and that's closed by, like, mid-March. So, I mean, I don't know if they
It's also in front of the Lake Placid High School.
Right.
So, that doesn't necessarily lend itself to...
But if you're my governor, she's wanting to bring an actual Olympics to New York State. So in mentions Lake Placid. So I mean, they could try to do a world championships, multiple sports in Lake Placid. I guess.
We know that they can host a Skate America size event. We know that they can host a World Synchro event. I don't know if they can host an event of this magnitude. So we'd have to look at different venues and cities that have access to those in a close proximity. It makes me wonder about Japan. Like, there may be some sites in Japan that are set up for this. I'm not sure. If any of our listeners out there who live in Japan and have any understanding, let us know, because we're interested in where this could be hosted, because that's what I've been thinking. And the original, Lake Placid is lovely, but I don't believe that it can.
I mean, we could go back to Milan and do it in Milan. I mean, we just had an Olympics in Milan in it.
They've got to... They need to make it profitable for the host city. It's not something that I don't think it's something that governing bodies are going to want to jump into and not have a possibility to get an income from it.
I think that's one of the things I was thinking about, because even when we will get to the Grand Prix schedule that has been discussed how many times have we heard over the last few years of country so-and-so cancelling the Grand Prix or the championship because they did not find the money and the appetite to actually being able to host it financially. So that's one of the things that I'm thinking about. And of course, starting with Beijing, surely there will be a combination of the new revenue that the ISU announced they're making with what the Chinese Federation can offer to organize the event. But I think it will be quite an important pilot event, isn't it? Because if it ends up being like a small Olympics, as we are saying here, if there is skating across 2 weeks, someone like me or media like us, including photographers, will not be able to take 2 weeks, all of us, to be somewhere. And it's not about us, but, there's going to be a chunk of us media that is going to be cut out of that. But also, I'm going to be absolutely honest. I love figure skating and all the other sports, but I cannot afford 2 weeks of working full time and watching figure skating across the 2 weeks, plus other competitions that we may want to cover. So it's very interesting. It may end up being a fantastic thing, and maybe they will come out with the best schedule. So I don't want to be negative here. But it's quite demanding for everyone to do something like that, including the audiences. And I think we'll have to see in 2 years what happens and what we think about it. Maybe we'll have a podcast at that time saying, "Oh my gosh, it was the best world champion."
Yeah.
Who knows?
Now they're not going to do this every year. That's what I gathered from the Congress. This is going to be in between the Olympic year. So I guess the next one would be 2032. So it'd be 2 years before the 2034. So if this is successful, they'll do it again in 2032. And so it's like the halfway point before the Olympics is when they're doing this. But then we go back in those other years to just a regular world championships with just figure skating. But I'm like, I mean, it's kind of intriguing. Like, to me, like, who follows synchro, I could go to Worlds and see figure skating and synchro. But again, how is it going to be scheduled? Are the venues going to be close enough that you could travel to both? There's a lot of questions, and so we'll have to just wait and see.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the schedule as well, because if they split the skating, so if they do, say the first Monday to Wednesday, women, and then Thursday to Saturday, pairs, and then the same thing the next week is got half of it ice dance and the other half men. Actually, figure skating fans want to go and see every category. Most of the fans that we know. So they wouldn't be able to probably split the entire thing, but maybe they will do something different. Maybe they will do, start with speed skating, short track, and maybe the rest of the week will be something different. It's all developing, so we'll need to find out more. But if they come up with something that is quite spread out, I think there's going to be quite an impact in the way the followership will have to decide if and how to go to these world championships. I mean, never mind as well. I know that there's nothing negative about China. China's, it deserves to host skating events, but it's also not the easiest to get to if you are in Europe, if you're in America. So yeah, we'll see from a practical point of view how many people that will be able to track there.
I think making it a really big spectacle can draw people in to want to watch it either in person or on TV. And it's great to come up with wonderful new ideas that can help grow the sport and its viewership, but you have to be careful to walk the line to not alienate the viewership that you have. And right now, at least here in the US, based on all of the Stars on Ice shows, most, if not all of them, were sold out. I'm thinking we need to take advantage of this huge rise in popularity. Now would be a great time to do that. So I'm interested. The skaters seem excited based on the ones that Jackie spoke to. And so for me, it usually comes down to this: what do they prefer? But I'm with you, Matteo, about if you spread this out over 2 weeks, it's going to be difficult because, yes, skating has changed over time, but so has traditional media. And skating media is different than it used to be. And a lot of people are part of volunteer organizations that cover the sport because they love it. And that's still incredibly important because we're the ones who, yes, we went to the Olympics, but we're also the ones that cover it continually on those in-between years. And we need to be able to continue to do that. So there are a lot of things, I think. There's a lot of potential and a lot of cautious optimism about it because I think that it can be a really good thing. They just need to do it thoughtfully and plan it out thoughtfully. So I want to see some more information come through. I'm not sure when we might see it. And there are a bunch more things that we're going to be getting this week that we'll be talking about anyway before that time.
It kind of links to the next point, though, isn't it? Because the next thing that they discussed is the changes to make the sport more accessible to audiences, which is something that we know they've been looking at for the last 2 years, because we know that they started with the LED, S events to make them different and more appealing. They changed the way things were happening at home as well, the entertainment. So it's all interesting to see that they're really investing in understanding, trying and testing different ways of entertaining and also to make it more accessible. So how do they want audiences to not only watch the one-off, Olympics in which just happened, but also retain the audiences to make sure that they become new fans that are able to watch our sport, which is not easy to follow. It's not like the regular football and all the others that has got a weekly schedule, so you know when it's happening. Figure skating, you got to know when it happens because we are overwhelmed with the Grand Prix series, and then it stops, and there are some nationals, and then there's continentals, and then world, and you got to know the schedule to be able to follow it. So it will be interesting to see how they will do that. And it seems like, to be fair, they've been quite successful with some of the things that we've been able to see so far. The feedback was very positive. The skaters also love some of the things that have been put in place. They seem to be quite welcoming of all the new changes, and that's quite promising, I think.
It is. I think one of the things that we have to think about, and I think they will think about, and probably already have, according to what Jackie said, because I listened to his show earlier today, in addition to reading his notes and reading Anna Keller's notes from Anything GOE's, trying to get my head around all of the things, because there's so much of it. They have already listened, because that proposed schedule would have things going into the month of April, which is not something that we see unless it's the month of the year of the World Team Trophy. Usually that's the only event we see in April. And let's just go through what they had suggested, which is Challenger Series events happening from September to February. Now they're usually September to December.
Yeah.
6 Grand Prix between September and November, with 2 each month. Grand Prix semifinals in January, Grand Prix finals in February, Euros and 4 continents in March, Worlds in April. That's extra competitions for some of your top skaters, and the potential that the national championships in each country would have to be moved or would overlap with one of these competitions. There's also the thought that if you take a skater like Ilya Malinin or Alyssa Liu, who would skate at their Grand Prix events and then their national championships, then a Grand Prix semifinals, then potentially the Grand Prix final, and then the 4 continents, and then it's adding additional things, and it reduces the amount of training time that they have in between these events. So it could shift some of the thought processes to who goes to what competitions, because you would think your focus on Grand Prix semifinals to try to make the final, unless they decided a certain number of the qualifiers, maybe the top 3 in each discipline got an automatic bye to the final.
Yeah. That's what's I don't understand is how are these semifinals going to work? Because we're so used to 6 skaters go to the final. So are you going to put 6 skaters in the semifinal and then 3 go to the final? That's not going to work that way. How many are now going to go to the semifinal, and how are the point system going to work now? There's a lot that I was like, what is this?
So I think the reasoning behind this actually makes sense. I think some of the reasoning behind it has to do with, we always come down to those last 2 or 3 spots especially, and it really is the luck of the assignment, and you miss out on going to the final because things change from one season to the next, and a skater who may have been in the top 6 at Worlds doesn't do as well at a Grand Prix event, or does better than expected. And so you have a skater like, say, Lara Naki-Gutman, who finishes second in an event like Skate America and goes to another competition, but for some reason only ends up 4th because the level of competition is higher, but her score would have put her in 2nd or 3rd at any other competition.
Right.
So what it does is it makes sure that it looks like the best 6 make the final by putting maybe the top 10 or top 12 at a semifinal. Right. And then they duke it out, and maybe the top 6 go. Yeah, or maybe it's weighted. Well. Yeah, we got
the top 6 and then we have the reserves, as we know. So if any of the top 6 pull out, we know who is going to be the next in line to go. But the way I see the semifinals is almost like, okay, the next in lines are still going to get their chance to go and shuffle things around. So it's almost, as you were saying, Lara Naki would have had a second chance to actually make it to the final in this new system.
Yeah.
While in the one that we're currently used to, she was not able to go because of the scoring.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was also thinking maybe it was going to be just like the medalists from every event. Because, you get that one event where there's that random medalist. I still think of Ava Marie Ziegler, who won NHK Trophy, whatever season that was. I mean, she wasn't going to the final. It was just a fluke. I think she only might have even had one Grand Prix, but would you let her go to a semifinal? That was my other thought. If they just did the medalists going to the semifinals, because you do get a few, random, hey, they get on the podium, they only get one medal, and they, don't have the points necessarily to go to the final. They may bomb their second event. I don't know. Just things of...
I think, as far as I know, this is only being talked about for senior, but I have to tell you, I think it could have some positive effect on junior as well if they did this.
They didn't come out and say when the junior events were, right? Because we're so used to the juniors going September to what? October for the JGP?
Yeah.
And then they do the final in December, but how are they planning?
I would assume that they would keep them at the same time as usual, where they start in mid-August or late August and go through. It would not make sense to start them earlier, because I thought about that at first, and the season's already long enough. I think that has been the pushback, or any of the feedback that the skaters have given, is that Worlds in April is not a great idea, because a lot of them are running on fumes at that point, and if they're doing anything, they're doing shows, and that's a huge money-making opportunity for them as well. So you have to weigh everything out to see what is the right thing to do. And I get the impression that things have been more carefully thought out, and while they're throwing this out as a potential idea, that this isn't finalized, and they're going to be doing some working and tinkering on it to make it better. The other thing that I took out of a few places I've read online today is that there's almost this panic when information is sent out from the ISU to some of the national governing bodies, where they want their feedback on it, but instead of reading the words like, please send us your thoughts on this, it's like they skip over that part, and all they see right away is these changes, and they think the changes are going into effect, and that's not the case. They're just trying to gauge feedback. But it's hard, because this is a sport where things tend to change, and you don't want to be overreactionary, but you can't help it, because it does affect so many people, because it's coaches and athletes and families. And you also look at speaking of coaches, the coaches who are working with skaters at different levels than senior are going to have different competing priorities, because they're also working with the lower levels, and their season starts even earlier. So right now, I'm in the middle of solo ice dance, but also the club competitions are going on for other disciplines. So it's busy. Like it doesn't stop. There really is no downtime. And putting another competition in, I think, is a good idea. I think this semifinal is a good idea. I just think they have to be careful when they're tinkering with the rest of the season, how to approach it, because we don't want to overwhelm the skaters even more, because there's so much going on, and with them trying to be prepared. And already I feel like, because this Olympic season was so taxing, everyone is trying to get into this season, and it's just kind of, for some reason, it feels more different than any other new quad season that I've felt. It just feels like rushed almost.
Yeah. Like, Daphne, we started this podcast at the end of the last Olympics, and I don't remember it being like this chaotic and crazy right now. I just don't. I don't know.
There's a lot of change. And as someone who has a hard time personally dealing with change, it's a lot to take in, which is why I was reading everything I could see and watching people's stories and trying to gauge, what people were saying, because I wanted to have kind of a well-rounded thought process on it, or at least a well-rounded, I wanted to have well-rounded discussion points, or to be able to have my head around the whole thing. But I don't think I really will until the ISU releases more information. And I wanted to point out in saying that they did, for the first time, invite a few media people to attend. And shout out to Jackie and Anna for sharing everything that they did from the Congress, because that's not something that we've had before. And I think that's really in the, with the thought of more transparency about what's happening. And both Jackie and Anna have interviews with Jae-yul Kim, who is the president of the ISU. And I have not had a chance to listen to them yet, but I'm looking forward to it because I think it'll be interesting to find out what's going on in his mind as he tries to steer the ship for the next 4 years.
Yeah, I thought that was great that, media was invited. I like to believe our invitation got lost in the mail because we should have been invited too. It seems like there was only a small group of media that was invited. And just, again, hopefully maybe going forward, it is open to more media. And so that way more information can be put out there. But yeah, Jackie and Anna were great. They were putting so much information out there. And I think they might have been the only two from figure skating that were there.
Yeah, there was one other person from Kyoto News that was there. But I think they were the only 3 media outlets or folks that were there. I think that this was kind of maybe a soft launch to see what it would be like to open the doors, because I can tell you that back when they were replacing Ottavio Cinquanta, media were banned from ISU. Like, there was an article that came out where media was just completely banned. I think this was around 2016. They just, no media. It's always been this disconnect, but I'm starting to feel like some doors are being opened and that maybe there'll be more transparency going forward.
So one thing I just want to mention briefly that I seem to take away from the Congress is this push. And I already knew that there was a push, but I think there's even a bigger push for synchro to get into the Olympics. And with people that I've talked to who are in the synchro community, many people have been saying 2034. But I really think the ISU is pushing for 2030. They kind of came out and said that they're really hoping they can get synchro in. And they're doing it with Synchro 9. Jae-yul Kim said Synchro 9 is not replacing the regular synchro with 16 to 20 skaters. This is going to be in unison. They're going to be both competing at the same events. But this is the way I think they're trying to see if we can get synchro into the Olympics, is with the Synchro 9. We're going to see it competed this season. It is also going to be, I don't know if many people know, that the World Championships for Synchro this season is going to be junior, senior, and then Synchro 9 is going to be there all in one event. And previously, junior synchros or junior world synchros and senior world synchros were separate events. So this is the first year. They're going to be a combined event. Synchro 9 is going to be a part of the 2028 Youth Olympics. So I'm really thinking there's more of a push for 2030 than 2034, which I'm excited about. You know, I've been wanting to see synchro in the Olympics, and if we can get it in there sooner, even better. But I really, listening to the Congress, reading back things from the Congress, there's a big push to get it into the Olympics, and doing so with Synchro 9. So
I hope that in pushing this, we want our friends in synchro to be included in the Olympics. I hope that the ISU or IOC doesn't start looking at, well, we want to add synchro, but we have to take something away, because I don't want that to happen.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what I was upset about with the 2028 Youth Olympics, because synchro is going into that event taking out pairs. And so, yeah, no, we do not need it replacing anything. It just needs to be an addition. And Jae Kim was kind of clear about, them pushing Synchro 9 is not to say, hey, the regular synchro is, we're disregarding it. They're to be kind of in unison together. And I did an interview with a synchro skater for work, and, she is with the Haydenettes, and she talked about how they're kind of already starting to think about Synchro 9, and they're going to have a team, but it's going to be a separate team from their regular team. So, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with synchro this season and into the future for sure.
And I'm sure, too, as things amp up, we'll definitely have folks on the podcast to talk about what this means to them, because this is a really big deal. And we want to promote it as much as we can. One cool thing that has come out of Congress, the ISU is close to reaching an agreement with one of the major music labels that would really help with the whole audiences getting an opportunity to see skating, because the streaming issue and the copyright strikes, that has been a thorn in figure skating side for the last 4 years, since the 2022 Olympics and everything that went down with the Heavy Young Heathens. And yeah, it's well-known figure skating lore now. That is a game changer, truly a game changer for the sport. To get that ironed out would really help the athletes so much. So, also, Swiss Timing has been developing tools that will take 8 cameras and stitch together skater moments to track the skater biomechanics. This tool can help the technical panel with more information on things like the angle of rotation. What I like about this is we are going to use tools that we have, because technology has just advanced so much. It's time that we start being more efficient and we start utilizing tools that can help us understand and track elements as they're being completed on the ice. It's a huge step in the right direction and will help back up tech panels if you think about it. And then finally, Maelstrom has been developing a tool to measure judge effectiveness through accuracy and fairness. That seemed to be a big part of the conversation at Congress, which is for things to be fair and judging anomalies and correcting things that are out of whack and making sure that they don't happen in the first place. So I know that Sean Redstadt, formerly of the Ice Dance Technical Committee, said that more judges are needed. I think Maelstrom is again another tool that they're going to use at the ISU to help make sure that the judging is more fair and more transparent. So let's hope I look forward to more information on that. There were a bunch of judging anomalies this season that had negative impacts on teams. And I say teams in particular because the ice dance issues were at the top of my mind. I feel like ice dance is where it happened the most. So I'm hoping that this is something that's going to pull us away from that.
I think it was day one, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but they were talking about the budgets and the finances of the ISU as well. And I remember that Anna shared a couple of things. So it's very interesting to see that their investment strategy is paying back because their revenue are raising. I remember that I think Anna was saying that they're not yet profitable, but it's a good direction of travel because the reason why they can talk about all these improvements, these changes in technology is because they are investing also financially in something that of course you have to invest for a few years for it to give you a return of investment that makes you profitable. But one of the things that was discussed as well was the increase in the prize money that is going to be given to skaters, which is something that, as we know, was quite a big deal after the Kirsty Coventry of the IOC said that she doesn't really believe, I think she said that athletes should be paid at the Olympic Games, and that became a massive debate. Olivia Smart had a video talking about it. So the fact that the ISU is actually actively investing in giving back to the athletes is a really positive message. What I hope is going to happen is that it's going to be an equitable thing. So it's going to hopefully benefit quite a lot of skaters because we know it's a very expensive sport and not everyone can afford that. But I thought that it was quite interesting to mention that as well, because it's, as we know, it's something that made a lot of athletes react when they found out about it. And, let's not go around it. It's quite a good incentive as well, isn't it? So maybe skaters will push themselves even more knowing that there is a more appealing money prize for them to earn if they were to medal or reach certain positions.
That's true. It is definitely more incentive. And I've also been thinking about the increased popularity of the sport, especially coming out of this Olympics. That's something else, Gina, I don't remember out of the last Olympics, that we had this push with new fans. I see it on Twitter. There are lots of posts from new fans asking questions like new to skating. When did the Grand Prix assignments come out? What is the Grand Prix? Like asking questions like that. And with that increased attention, it just makes me think about how skating has changed over the last couple of decades and how some of the athletes are staying in, competing longer. And someone asked that, like, is it normal for skaters like Deanna Stellato or Evan Bates to be skating? And it wasn't something that we saw. This is something that's happening over time. I also think that one of the biggest issues is we used to have a lot of opportunities in events called pro-ams where professional and amateur skaters, which is how they were differentiated. Professional was out touring, making money. Amateur was still eligible, competing in competitions and really couldn't make any money. There were a lot of opportunities like that don't exist anymore. And so I started thinking about maybe now is the time to start thinking about bringing some opportunities like that back for athletes so that they can still have a chance to make money and do something they love without as much structure, because the professional competitions were different than what we saw or see in a more competitive arena. It was much more relaxed. And so I don't think I'm the only one thinking about this, because I've been in this sport at the end of this week, 27 years. It's been 27 years at the end of this week since I created IceDance.com. And so I just remember some of those things. And I'm not saying we have to go back to all of that. I'm just saying, hey, that now might be a good time for someone who has resources to put something together. Just saying.
So that was a lot of day one. Day two was a lot of like rule updates. So specific changes for each discipline. And for singles, the big thing was the maximum of 6 jumps in the free skate, and that's going down 1 jump from 7. We were used to 7. And they have to one has to be an axel. So you have to do an axel in the free skate for singles. We have 1 step sequence, 1 choreo sequence in the program, 3 spins in the free skate too. Another thing that was interesting, I'm not going to tell you all of the things that changes with the rules, but one is a jump type can be done a maximum of 3 times with other repeat rules still in effect. So that was another thing. With pairs, it was short program requirements are group 3 lift, pair spin combination, and forward inside death spiral. Free skate was maximum of 2 lifts, 1 choreographic pair lift, 1 choreographic pair spin, and 1 death spiral that is not the one from the short program. So you have to do a different death spiral. The lift group, now we had some, this past season, we had some like controversy with lifts. Some were saying that wasn't a press lift. One said it wasn't a lasso lift. This rule says a lift group is determined by the hold at the moment the woman passes the top of the man's head. So changed from the shoulder. So maybe that'll help determine if something is actually called the correct lift, because I know there was some issues with that this season.
There was also something in relation to greater creative freedom and encouraging artistic expression, which I think is something I'm quite glad to hear about, because there has been very often a focus on the elements more than the artistic delivery of a program. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that is going to be implemented.
In ice dance, there is a new creative dance element for the rhythm dance. It can be performed in contact. It may include hand in hand with fully extended arms. A brief release to change hold is not considered a separation and skated to any rhythm and dance style. There are a bunch of requirements and nuances that are part of this new element, and that information will be in our show notes. As I mentioned, the ISU released that communication 2795 today, and so there's more information in there. Last bit of dance news. International solo dance has had rapid growth over the last couple of seasons. They had 2 internationals in the 23-24 season and now have 9 competitions from 25-26. There is a plan to hopefully create a solo dance final, which would be international, and maybe a challenger series in the future. And there have just really been a 32% increase in solo dance entries, which is fantastic for a discipline that the passion is so infectious. When you talk to someone who's a solo dancer, it reminds me of people who do theater on ice or some of the synchro teams we have spoken to. There's just so much love and passion for this sport, and I'm excited for the athletes to have even more opportunities on the international scale.
There were also mentions about the provision of dedicated mental health and safeguarding resources, which I think is really good because we need to see much more of that to support the athletes and the environments that they work in. They also talked about athletes' welfare. If you saw that they analyzed the interference on social media, particularly during the Olympic Games, and the data that came out was quite interesting because it was showing that there were a lot of negative comments or I think fake posts. I don't remember exactly what the outcome was, but it was interesting to see how much social media, which we know have been something that skaters have been talking about, were affected by these interactions that are not very healthy. So it's good that things are being monitored and maybe, when needed, controlled in whatever way will work for the mental health and safety of the athletes in first place.
Definitely. It's so important, and the athletes continue to speak up about it. And I appreciate it for their sake. I think the more who feel that they are comfortable coming forward and talking about the struggles and the stress, it's only going to make things better. We have to continue to push that and make skating a safe space for people to be able to come forward and talk. And I think there are athletes involved today that have just really helped build that bridge. So it's important. So moving on to elections. Jaeil Kim ran unopposed. So he was once again reelected to the top post in the International Skating Union. The vice president of figure skating, on the other hand, is different. And I wanted to share a little background information. György Elek is a Hungarian former ice dancer. He is someone who was part of the ISU Council over the past 4 years. I saw him compete as an ice dancer back at Junior Worlds in 2005 in Kitchener-Waterloo. He's been building or working his way up in the ISU for quite some time. He's an attorney. He was part of the Ice Dance Technical Committee. He brings a lot of knowledge to the table, and I was honestly surprised because he beat an incumbent vice president, because the vice president of figure skating was Benoit Lavoie of Canada. And so György Elek is now the vice president. The council members, Tina Lundgren of the U.S., Tatsuro Matsumura of Japan, Benoit Lavoie of Canada, Susan Lynch of Australia, and Fabio Bianchetti of Italy. Susanna Racamo, who had been part of the ISU Council for quite some time, was not reelected. In singles and pairs, Lena Lakonsen of Finland is the chair of the Singles and Pairs Committee, along with Daniel Delfa of Spain, Leah Bates of Australia, Fang Huang of China, and Kirsten Kaminis of Germany.
For the Technical Committee for Synchronized Skating, Nina Biskoff of Switzerland was elected as the chair of the Technical Committee, and also on the Technical Committee is Jennifer Betts of Canada, Ida Hellstrom of Finland, and Karen Scher of the U.S.
So we saved ice dance for last because, well, a lot happened when it came down to the Technical Committee. Over the last year, there seems to have been some, I'm not sure what to call it. There's just been some stress when it comes to ice dance, and for various reasons. Basically, in ice dance, we have a brand new committee. So 2 members of that Ice Dance Technical Committee did not run for re-election, Hilary Selby of Great Britain and Ingrid Charlotte Wolter of Germany. There were still 2 members of the Ice Dance Technical Committee that were running again, Sean Redstadt of the U.S., who was the current chair, and David Molina of France. Redstadt had been part of the committee since 2016, and I believe Molina had been on since 2022. Redstadt was elected the chair in 2022. David Molina and Sean Redstadt, first of all, Michele Cesaro of Italy defeated Sean Redstadt for chair with a vote of 78-37. And then neither Sean Redstadt nor David Molina were elected to the committee. So we have a brand new committee going forward. Michele Cesaro of Italy, the chair. Maria Bonus of Canada, who's a former ice dancer and an ISU technical specialist. Marcin Koziubek of Poland, another former ice dancer and an ISU judge. And Saba Balint of Hungary, an ISU judge and international referee, another former ice dancer. So basically, we're looking at a brand new ice dance technical committee, and I'm interested in seeing how well they work together and their efficiency in pulling things together. There should also be an appointed skater representative, and I believe an appointed coach representative, but I'm not sure who those are. Caitlin Weaver had been the skater representative, but I'm not sure if she will be at this point because there's already a Canadian representative now on the committee. So we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, should be interesting to see what happens. You know, it's always good to have new faces on technical committees with new ideas. And so just have to, I look forward to seeing what happens with all of the disciplines with these now new committees that we have.
But no more drama, please. No more drama.
There were definitely some challenges, especially in the ice dance front, with program theme development and the judging anomalies and issues that took place. And I can only speculate that may have had something to do with it, where the representatives just decided they wanted to start over and try something different with a whole new slate of people. So we'll see. As we said earlier, Grand Prix assignments, we're waiting. Will the Russians or Belarusians be allowed back in? That's something that the ISU Council talked about and made a decision on, and there are allusions on social media that decision is also coming. So we'll keep you posted on that. It's likely we'll do another episode relatively soon once those Grand Prix assignments come out. Also, we're still waiting on Four Continents location.
Come on, ISU. Like, seriously, I'm with all of the other fans that are waiting on Four Continents because I'm kind of wondering if that's going to be an event that I could swing this season. I got so lucky the last 3 seasons where I got to go to an event after Nationals, 2 Worlds and then the Olympics last year. And I'm like, come on, tell me where Four Continents are going to be. Or I may just be going to Nottingham, Great Britain for the combined World Synchros happening. So I don't know. But yeah, let's go, ISU. People need to plan. Come on.
There are rumors that it will be in the U.S., but I have no idea if that's what's going to happen. But Gina, if it were, say, in a location that's proximity is not far from where we are, I could be easily persuaded to go.
Yeah, definitely. I know people have been throwing out there Estonia just as, as a joke. As a joke, because that's the place that has come to the rescue so many times before. Always. Honestly, the ISU should have them on speed dial for the rescue because they are like MacGyver or the A-Team or the Delta Force. If anyone has ever heard of any of those things, they're the one that comes in to save the day. So, yeah. Okay, we just have a few, I feel like we covered the Congress. So let's talk just a little bit about some of the news we have about the season coming up. Well, we mentioned that things have been a bit of a merry-go-round or musical chairs. With the U.S. pairs situation, it really has felt a lot like 2011 Ice Dance when everyone broke up and switched partners. And it does continue to happen. There have been the announcements of the splits, and now people are getting together. I feel like we need... what was it that came out this year that was it during the Netflix documentary that showed who was connected to who? We need that for U.S. pairs this year. We need this like some fan, come on, do it, that shows who's been connected to who, because it is musical chairs, musical partners. It is like every time I'm going on social media and I'm seeing another announcement or a split or whatever, I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. You're with them. You need like a scorecard to keep track. It's just crazy.
It's more like an Excel file with an algorithm to predict who's going to pair with who at this point. Or going old school and getting a pegboard with strings.
Yes. Yeah.
It's what you got to do. So here's a little bit of a rundown. In the dance world, Marjorie Lajoie and Zachary Laga split up, and that was really devastating for a lot of fans because everyone was viewing them as being the heirs apparent to be the Canadian champions. They made the decision to split. And then the big surprise after, Marjorie Lajoie is teaming up with Jean-Luc Baker. Now, Jean-Luc last competed in 2022, and he has been very active doing choreography, doing commentary. He's just been very busy in the skating world. He does these camps with Sam Chouinard and Nathan Chen. He's still very active. Marjorie and Zach skated together for 15 years, but this is a brand new partnership for her. And based on what I've seen so far, I'm really interested in seeing more because there just seems to be a style match here and a personality match. So we'll see. Carolina Perroni, Pietro Papetti are a new ice dance team for Italy. Pietro had skated with Lea Dozy, and Carolina skated with Michael Krotesky. That is a brand new team. But there are also a bunch of splits that happened, and we don't have partner names yet. So we're going to have to wait and see as people announce. Every day on Instagram, I look through to see if anyone has released any information about being in new partnerships. But on the ice dance front, wow, it's not only ice dance, like US ice dance is a big chunk of it, but there's also a few teams in other countries that split and have formed new partnerships as well.
So, yeah. And then with the U.S. pairs, here we go. These are the ones that have split and now are new partners. New partnerships have been announced. These are confirmed. So, Katie McBeath and Balazs Nagy are a new team. That was posted on Instagram. Now, Katie, you might want to write this down and draw your lines. Katie previously skated with Daniel Parkman, who is now skating with Star Andrews. That was announced. I did that in that episode a couple weeks ago. Balazs previously skated with Audrey Shin, who just recently announced that she is skating with Spencer Akira Howe. And Spencer and Emily have split. So Audrey and Spencer are now a new partnership. They announced new programs as well. Emily has not announced a new partnership. So again, it's this who's with who was with who before. It's craziness. And I'm sure we're gonna, once Grand Prix assignments come out this week, as we are hearing, we're going to see maybe some teams that haven't announced that they are together. So it's just a lot of fun right now. Madness, as I say, madness. But I do have to say, I would like to congratulate Katie McBeath got engaged like this past weekend. It was really cool. If you got to see her Instagram, I'll post it in the show notes. She was climbing I don't know where, but some mountain, and he was at the bottom, or she was, doing some rock climbing or something like that. So congrats to her. So not only has she got a new partnership, but she also got engaged. So
yeah, we also have a little bit of news just before the Grand Prix assignments come out. Some things have been confirmed. Evan Bates, while at the ISU Congress, revealed that he and Madison are not competing this year. We don't know if this is it and they are just taking a year off or any of that. But this season will be the first one in 15 years that Chalk and Bates won't be competing. It's going to be incredibly strange to look at the list and not see them on it. French TV reported that Laurence Fournier-Baudry, Guillaume Cizeron are continuing. They mentioned the 2030 Olympics being in France. I don't know that they're actually committing to that or just looking at 1 year at a time, which is what some dancers do. Olivia Smart and Tim Deek are staying in and are looking at 2030 and just gauging how it goes year to year. Yeah, just, the little pieces. I guess we're going to get to see the retirements, the information, or as it comes out. We really don't know. It's a waiting game right now. So, yeah. A couple of things to share on the online updates, just basically. Piper Gillis threw out the first pitch at the Toronto Blue Jays game on June 13th. She was wearing her bronze medal. Matthias Versluis of Finland got married earlier in June, and he posted photos on Instagram. And I have to say this, our good friend Jordan, you see him when he's out on the ice recording and doing on-ice perspectives or working for NBC. He was very, very busy working for the New York Knicks and that venue because the Knicks just won the first national championship for them in, God, I heard it was since Richard Nixon was the president. Like, it's been a really, really long time since they won.
Yeah.
And so he was part of, like, filming. He was on the basketball court filming different things at halftime and just around. And so it was really cool to see that.
Yeah. I mean, that is his job when he is not doing ice skating things. He works at Madison Square Garden. And so he's had quite the year. I was telling our friend Anne, I was like, first he's got the Olympics and now he's at the, doing filming for the NBA finals. What's next? So yeah, very cool. Jordan, I know we're all excited here in New York State that the Knicks won. So yeah, props to the Knicks and props to Jordan. I think Jordan needs some downtime now. What do you say?
Things are just amping up, and I think it's going to be a really wild season. So let's buckle in. Well, you know that we like to end every episode by shining a lens on what's going on our respective websites.
This Week in Skating, as you know, we have a store which has been out there for a few months now, where we have items from IDC and FSO as well. So go check it out because it supports us and you can rock some cool swag. And also we have the option of joining our Patreon for access to ad-free episodes.
Well, at IDC, it's been very busy. Anne spoke with Madison Evan and Christine and Anthony at Stars on Ice. She was able to give Anthony a program that was from Champions on Ice way back in the day, and there were pictures of his mom and dad in it from when they were on Champions on Ice, so she shared that. So she has those stories. We have the first photos of the 2026-27 season. Harumi went to Prince Mikasa Cup, and that event usually starts the IDC photo collection for the season, and those are all posted. I have a new team series interview with Finland's Iris Lahti and Oskari Leidenpoja. There's an interview with Christian Bennett and his experience touring with Disney on Ice. And then also coming this week are an interview with Amy Sui and Jonathan Rogers of the U.S., as well as a solo Q&A with Marina Nikolova.
Well, over at FSO, I posted an interview with Olivia Serafini, and Olivia is now a dietitian with the New York Yankees. So it was very cool to hear what she is up to now, and I thought it was a cool story, especially since it's now baseball season, and so definitely go check that out if you have it. And Scott did an interview with Matt Savoy, and that will be up later this week. And Mara's working on stuff, and so there'll be more coming to FSO in the coming weeks.
We do want to wish everyone a happy Pride. We are in the middle of June, and it's a month that we take celebration very seriously. And happy Pride to all of the athletes, family members, coaches, officials that celebrate. We hope that you have a wonderful month.
And where I live, Pride goes beyond June because our Pride Parade is in July. So I feel like we celebrate Pride here for like a month and a half. So I know we're in the midway point of June, but I want to say beyond, just because the month is coming up, we still celebrate all year long.
Yeah, it's the same in London because Pride will be on the 4th of July, which is also my birthday. So this year I got a double celebration on the same day, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Last thing I want to say is a huge thank you to Ethan Peele for his efforts to reboot, rebuild, redesign, reimagine the icepartnersearch.com website. Augie Hill created this website back in 2003, and he signed it over to me a couple of years ago. I did my best with it, but it really needed some love and attention. And after Ethan launched his skating storage site, I reached out to him for some advice, and he offered to take care of it and get it back to, or get it to a place that looked better, that functioned better, and took Augie's original vision and just pushed it forward. And so I'm very appreciative. If you haven't taken a look at it, it looks fantastic.
Yes, well done, Ethan. It looks so much better. So much better. Thank you so much.
Check out icepartnersearch.com to see all the updates, and check out Ethan's site, skatingstorage.com. It's a really cool concept. We had him on to talk about it, so check that out. Gina and I will be back with an interview coming probably early next week, and watch for us or check your feeds for an episode talking about Grand Prix assignments and more, because I have a feeling the landslide has started.
And one more thing. Next week is a special day, too, that we celebrate. And so just keep an eye out on our social media for a little celebration for June 23rd, Olympic Day. It's just more special this year for Matteo and I, since we got to experience our first Olympics. So stay tuned for some celebrating of that as well. So.
Yes, and on Saturday, June 20th, happy birthday, IDC, officially 27 years old, and you don't look a day over 5. Until next time.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of This Week in Skating. Remember, you can keep up with us throughout the week by visiting our website at www.thisweekinskating.com. Connect with us on social media for additional updates. You can find us on Twitter at This Week in Skating without the E's, or Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at This Week in Skating. You got a burning question or feedback for Gina, Daphne, or Matteo? Reach out to us via social media or drop us an email at thisweekinskating@gmail.com. And if you're really enjoying the show and want to support us further, consider joining our Patreon community at patreon.com/thisweekinskating. Until next time, have a nice week.